Charm Chats with Kendra and Kat. Just a couple of girls talk about this and that. Get familiar with Prue and the charmed ones too. Charm Chats. Welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra
and Kat. What?
Yeah, this is episode 116.
Yeah.
Which Prue is it anyway?
Which aired on March 3rd, 1999.
March 3rd.
And the title could be a reference...
I think it's based off of Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Well, there's Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is the improv comedy show thing. But there's also a play called Whose Life Is It Anyway? By Brian Clark. It's from 1972.
Well, I mean,
it's
in any case, it's the wrong W.
Well, yes. Yeah, it absolutely is. But can I just say, I looked up the wiki page for the play for Brian Clark, for Whose Life Is It Anyway? It is interesting if you're into that sort of stuff.
Nice.
It is a weird play. There'll probably be a link on the website, because it is very interesting. This is also the only episode with Prue's name in the title.
Yes.
And it was one of Shannon's favorite episodes.
Aw. Well, I can see why. She seemed to really have fun with it.
Yeah, I
would too, using that much split screen.
Yeah, I really think
and having a body double basically the entire time.
Yeah, we'll talk about those wigs in a minute. But yeah, I have to admit, I liked this episode better than I thought I would. Better than I remembered liking it. And I think that's mostly because it looked like Shannon was having so much fun.
Oh, yeah. There was some good body work, too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, her posture shifting and whatnot. But we'll get into that when we actually get into that.
Yeah. We apologize in advance if you can hear the people upstairs.
The comedy stylings of my roommate and her friend and boyfriend.
Yeah. I will try very hard to cut around their talking if it can be heard. I honestly don't know if it can be, but...
It's not going to be heard over us. And if it is, we stop and then wait for it to subside.
Yeah.
You know, like contractions.
Anyway...
The episode starts off, and we're in some kind of a gym.
Yeah.
With a boxing ring.
So, I love that. So of course, I have my little shots. We start out with the night shot of the cars driving over the bridge. And then we get the exterior shot of Pop's gym. And there's a sign next to Pop's gym that says day and night classes. And night is spelled N-I-T-E.
Because it saves on printing?
Yeah, I don't know, but I literally, in my notes, wrote N-I-T-E-W-T-F.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, are you kidding me?
I would have put N-I-T-E-N-O-P-E.
Yeah, that too. So inside Pop's gym, there are two guys boxing in a boxing ring, because that's what it's there for.
Mm-hmm.
And
I still don't understand why they're not called squares, but that's fine. You don't have to explain it to me.
I honestly don't know.
Okay, well, please do not go and find it right now. Because I accept that I do not currently understand these, even though it probably has been explained to me.
Okay.
I will probably learn it at a later time and be fine with knowing, but right now I'm fine with not knowing.
All right.
And just commenting on it sarcastically.
No worry. I promise you.
Sardonically. There we go.
I promise you that I will not look it up.
Right now.
Yes.
Good.
All right. A man, nicely dressed...
with total 90s hair.
Uh-huh.
Like late 80s, early 90s hair.
It was kind of a gray mullet, a little bit.
Well,
it wasn't exactly, but it was
wasn't
kind
exactly.
of.
No. Oh my god, I saw a child with a mullet last week.
Oh my god.
He was like 8.
Oh, poor baby.
His older brother did not have one, but he had, like, David Spade, Joe Dirt mullet.
Oh, poor baby.
Yes.
Poor child.
We don't even live in the country. I don't understand how this exists this close to actual civilization. Like, not to be negative on people who do that to their children, but, oh, come on, you know it doesn't look good.
Yeah. If anyone
let your kid have long hair, that's fine. Let them have short hair, that's fine too. If you want to have, a mixture of the two, maybe look to Kiss for inspiration. Do not do a mullet. Well, they had layers. It was flippy. The 70s, got a little Farrah going on, maybe some Gidget. I appreciate that. That's fine.
Some Gidget.
Yeah. No, Gidget. Okay, so there was an episode of Buffy where Joyce is showing Buffy her high school photos, and Buffy's like, you had total Farrah hair, and Joyce is like, oh, come on, that was so Gidget.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't know the difference. we don't actually see the photo in the episode, but, I imagine they're somewhat analogous. Don't look it up. We're gonna go on like a 30-minute diatribe about this.
No, we won't. Because Gidget had the little flippy.
Oh.
That kind of...
That looks nothing like Farrah hair. How would she confuse those two? I have been operating under a false premise all these years.
Well, there you go. See, this is why we look things up. Farrah was definitely, like, flowy and flippy.
Yes, like
Gidget
that
is...
70s show.
Yeah.
Which we will talk about more next episode.
Yes. Yes, we will.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for next episode, but let's get through this one first. Okay, so, a man nicely dressed in dark gray pants, a greenish button-down shirt, and a blue patterned tie, wearing a black trench coat, walks
With
into the
shoulder
doorway.
Pads.
Well, it was...
looked like it had shoulder pads. It was a little too wide.
Yeah, it probably did, but, whatever. Though I wasn't sure at first if it was a trench coat or a duster, but then in the next scene we see how short it is, and it's like, yep, that's a trench coat. Did you know the difference between a trench coat and a duster? Because I didn't for the longest time. A trench coat...
Is a duster leather?
A duster can be in anything, but a duster hits the floor.
Oh, okay.
Whereas a trench coat is usually to mid, calf.
Okay, so...
But yeah, so he has a black trench coat.
Because I know, regarding the difference between trench coat and duster, I know Spike is supposed to have a duster, because that's what they always call it.
Yeah, but unless it's hitting the ground, it isn't a duster.
Okay, I think it's pretty close, though.
Yeah. Like, that's the whole point of why it's called a duster.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, logic.
Yes.
So he walks into the doorway, and he just stands there. And then one of the boxers brutally punches the other one in the face.
Yeah.
Like...
just goes to town.
Yeah, and the referee, for fear that the guy is dying, stops the fight and makes sure that the guy who was punched walks away. And the man in the doorway just smiles and walks away. And then we jump cut, or time cut, I guess, because it's a little while later, to a man who we're assuming
is one of the
boxers. The one who did the punching.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting his stuff into a bag, and the nicely dressed man comes into the room and calls him by the name Luther Stubbs.
Well, he doesn't do it like that.
No, he doesn't. But he says he's a fan, and that the fight that he had a few years back was the bloodiest he'd ever seen, because apparently Luther punched another boxer so hard while fighting that he died in the ring. Luther quips that everybody's gotta go sometime, and Trenchcoat Dude wants to know what it felt like to take another life with his own hands, and Stubbs doesn't really want to have this conversation. He tells Trenchcoat Dude to move, but he says that he isn't leaving until he gets what he came for, which happens to be Luther's killer instinct. And then Trenchcoat Dude pulls out a sword and stabs Luther in the stomach, and there's a little continuity error because he reaches for the sword twice.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. And we see Luther's body on the ground, with a spot on his shirt where the blade went in, and the Trenchcoat Dude pulls the sword back out, and as he puts the point of the sword onto Luther's chest, we now get a very clear view of this very interesting sword.
That is definitely not what they purport it to be at a later point.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's some kind of, plexiglass thing. I don't know.
I wrote that it kind of looks like plastic or glass.
Yeah, some kind of, heavy, really heavy, near glass equivalent.
Yeah. The blade and the fuller are completely clean of blood and, clear. So it's like a plastic or a glass. It's supposed to be crystal, which we find out later, but whatever. The guard on the sword is gold with rivets, and, there's more of, the clear stuff surrounding it. The grip is red, and the pommel is clear. Can you tell I had to look up the anatomy of a sword to get those terms right? Because it did.
Yeah, I think...
I knew some of it, but I wasn't positive on all of it, and I wanted to make sure I didn't get it wrong.
Not just guard, but yeah.
Well, according to the
you could also call it a hilt.
Thing. According to the website that I looked at, it was just called a guard. So that's what I called it.
Gosh, I did a lot of research about this in elementary school when we were supposed to, design our own heraldry and, make a sword. Mm. And I only recently had to throw out the actual... Because it was... we cut it out of paper, and that was the thing. We had to, research sword designs, and I ended up going with a longsword. Mm. And so I had to know all of this terminology, and I just never forgot it.
Nice.
Because swords.
Yeah. So, a bright yellow light shines out of his body and into the sword, and then the light turns blue and heads up the blade.
And we see the boxer's face up in the pommel.
Yep.
Screaming, and there's some...
Glowing
does it sound
blue.
like he's kind of screaming or something?
Yeah, there's a little something.
There's a bit of a noise.
Yeah. So the light goes through the blade, all the way up to the pommel. We see Luther's face glowing blue in the pommel, and then it becomes a bright white light And every time I love my notes, because he was given a name, more than one line, and was seen in the first scene of the show. He was a goner from the start.
Yep. Well, also, like, he was just behaving a real asshole.
Well, yeah.
Like, the entire time. We're like, I'm not quite so sorry you're dead.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of a dick.
Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes
And
we're
apparently
sad,
you
but-
have a killer instinct.
Well,
Yeah.
don't know. But then Trenchcoat Dude kisses the sword on the blade. Technically on the fuller, but
Yeah.
And then he puts it back into a loop of leather at his side. It's not sheathed. It's not in a scabbard. It's just hanging off a loop on his belt.
Which is how you know it's not sharp, because it's not cutting that thing.
Yeah.
Even on the way down.
Yeah. Then we jump over to the manor, where we see Prue and Piper walk into the house through the front door via a shot POV through the hall chandelier.
Yep.
It's an interesting shot. I love that they're getting more creative with their
They
shots.
are. Well, except they keep referring to push-ins.
Yeah, well,
There's a really great one in this episode, and you probably caught it, but it'll happen in like another 20 minutes of the show. So.
Okay. I was gonna say, you'll tell us when it happened, I'm sure.
I know, I definitely wrote it down.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Prue is wearing a green dress with a pattern on it that's a bit like little small red and white like mock paisleys.
Okay.
Where the white ones are like
Yeah.
outlined in black. It was interesting. It was a cute dress on her. I liked it on her.
Mhm.
And then a green sweater that's like a shade or two lighter than the dress. And cream heels.
Mm-hmm.
And she still has the cross necklace on.
Yeah.
Because now I'm keeping track of her necklace.
Yeah.
Because
once you start, you can't stop.
yeah,
It's like eating J's.
Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop.
Well, there's that, but there's also J's where you can't stop eating them.
Okay.
Trust me, that was my chip during lunch in elementary school, and I
Okay.
always saw that on the bag. And I'm like, this is true. This is very true.
I believe you. Piper is in a red sweater set and dark red pants.
Yes.
And I really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Looks very nice on her. She is telling Prue that it is time for Quake's yearly inventory.
Where they have to count everything down to the last swizzle stick.
Yep. And it's gonna take days. And Prue says that's why she gets paid
the
the medium
medium
bucks. Which is the exact same joke that Daryl made in episode 6.
Yep.
I looked it up to make sure that I was right.
Oh, I know. I wrote it down. I'm like, them medium-sized bucks again.
Yeah, I didn't look up the episode
Mhm.
because I didn't watch the episode again. But I looked at the
Yeah.
script of the episodes
Yeah.
because I wasn't going to go through that. But I looked it up to make sure that I was right, that it was in episode 6.
It was.
My most hated episode
Yes.
ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. So they walk toward the living room, and Prue stops when she sees a statue of a woman there. Apparently, it's Grams's statue, and Prue thinks it's ugly. Personally, it's not that bad.
Also, Prue thinks it's ugly. Prue is the one who deals with all of the antique crap.
Yeah.
Prue is the one who can identify fucking anything. How is Prue the one who's offended by the sight of this thing?
Well,
I mean, for one thing, like, she sees this kind of shit day in, day out. Can't she just sell it through the auction house?
Hey,
Someone will take it. It's huge, it's solid marble, it's worth a fortune, I am sure. And how is it sitting on that wood floor?
Yeah, there are many things about this statue.
Mm-hmm.
It was put into this scene, into this episode for an a la convenience for
Yes.
later.
As a demonstration.
And as a setup for a joke
Yes.
at the end.
Yes.
So, yeah. But I put a picture of it up on the website so you can decide for yourself
It's
whether or not
honestly
it's
not
ugly.
that bad. It looks...
It's
It's not Greek, but like neoclassical.
Yeah, I have no idea. Sculpture is not my
It looks
expertise.
like a lot of the stuff at the Art Institute that's in the neoclassical wing. You know,
Okay.
the
I don't think
style
I've
looks
been to
like
the
it
Art
was
Institute
the
in a
style
while.
looks like it was trying to imitate Greek just based on like how her fingers and face looks.
Yeah,
But granted, I don't know where they got the pattern for this thing or even who like painted it.
I don't know.
So who knows what it's based off of.
Mhm.
But she's got like kind of a headdress with a veil that goes over the back of her head and a dress with lots of folds and shit. She's got one hand like kind of up.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of crossed. It's not a bad statue. I've seen worse.
Yes, I have absolutely seen worse.
And so has Prue.
So we learned that it was taken out of storage downtown because that cost $90 a month and brought to the house where storage is free.
And it apparently took 8 of Phoebe's bouncer buddies to move it in, which is why Prue has no hope of moving it. And she tries,
She does try.
and it wiggles a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But we have to back up just a moment because Prue tries to convince Piper that it's an eyesore, and Piper says that she and Phoebe don't mind, and because it's 2 against 1 and majority rules, unless Prue can move it, it stays. And that's when she tries to move it and can't. It does jiggle a little.
A little.
A very little.
But not much.
But it is solid marble.
Yep, and it took, again, 8 of Phoebe's bouncer buddies to move in.
Yeah.
So until she can get the chutzpah to move it, she must suffer.
Yes. I do like the cute little moment between them. Prue's like, my powers are growing in 1 day. And Piper goes, you can move it to the basement. Until then, you have to suffer.
Yep.
And it made me laugh so hard. And then we get Phoebe making kia noises from the other room.
Kia!
Yeah. And we cut to the living room where Phoebe, who is wearing Adidas branding clothes, she has a Adidas branded crop top,
like tank
and pants.
Top.
Yeah, but it was a cropped tank top thing.
It was like red with black lining, piping, or
was it red?
And it was like red or maroon. It was in the warm.
It
was dark and it was warm.
I honestly didn't write down the color, which is weird.
I only wrote it down because of a bit later on. They were doing the color coordinated mugs again.
But that was the next day.
Yeah, but Phoebe hadn't changed.
Yes, she did.
She did?
Yeah, she was wearing.
Oh, what am I thinking?
Yeah, she was wearing a red spaghetti strap top in the next scene.
Okay.
So I don't know what color the Adidas branded. I think it was just black and white, to be honest.
Okay. Well, that is Adidas.
Yeah. So Adidas branded crop top and pants and boxing gloves.
Yes.
And she's kicking and punching a little practice dummy thing.
A practice dummy with all these different weird little, like, buttons or patches or something.
It was like lights.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not all of them are lighting up, so it's unclear what they're supposed to be at first until she explains it.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't really explain it, but, like...
Not really.
You get more of the idea.
Yeah.
It's clearly electronic and clearly made for punching.
Yes. For being punched and being kicked.
Yes.
Yes.
Pummeling.
Pummeling. Not pummeling.
I was about to say.
Pummeling. Yes. It's like we're on the
It's
same
like we do
wavelength.
this so much that we just sink.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm a good swimmer.
I'm an okay swimmer.
Are you good at floating?
I'm a very good floater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just remember to float face up so they don't think you're dead.
Yes. I can't float face down because I can't hold my breath that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't breathe through my nose underwater. I have to plug my nose.
Well, you can't exactly breathe underwater.
You know what I mean. Shut your face.
Ah!
Anyway, so Phoebe seems embarrassed that they caught her, as Piper put it, opening a can of whoop-ass.
Not just whoop-ass, whoop-ass!
Yeah. And when Prue asks where she learned her moves, she says that she got tired of being the only one with a passive power, so she started taking self-defense classes.
Which she's putting on her new credit card.
Mm-hmm. And we learn that the dummy is called Slam Man.
Oh my god.
And she got him off an infomercial.
It's so 90s.
Yeah.
The name alone.
Yeah. And Prue says that he's another eyesore in the house.
Another expensive, hacky eyesore.
Yep. And apparently Phoebe is paying for Slam Man via a payment plan on her new credit card and says that he's going to pay for himself the first time she kicks ass on some unsuspected gnarly beast.
And Piper is putting on the gloves.
Yeah, for some adorable reason.
The adorable reason turns out to be that Phoebe is deciding to pin Prue.
Mm-hmm.
Because Prue doesn't believe this is at all going to work.
Yes. Phoebe asks if they want to see her moves. Piper says no. And Prue uses her power to move the dummy so that it hits Phoebe. And Phoebe thinks that's unfair. And Prue, of course, reminds her that demons do not play fair. And then Phoebe gets Prue into an arm lock.
Yeah.
And Piper just, like, jokingly taps Prue on the head with the gloved hand.
And so she says something about, like, San, or, I don't know. Like,
Daniel-san.
Daniel-san.
Yeah, calls it Daniel-san. But we have a little continuity error because she first puts out her left hand, and then it switches to her right hand.
Yeah.
Oh, continuity, people. Ah. Anyway, so Phoebe, while holding Prue, has a premonition of Prue getting stabbed by trenchcoat dude with the clear sword.
Mm-hmm.
And when she comes out of it, she tells Prue that she just saw her die. And then we cut to credits. So dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time that Phoebe has had a premonition of one of her sisters while touching them.
Yes.
Very fascinating.
And it was kind of delayed, too. Because she'd had Prue in the arm lock for...
a little bit.
Like 10 seconds already before it hit.
Yeah.
Goodness knows why it was so delayed. Except, you know, they wanted a cute sister moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we come out of credits.
With no Daryl this episode.
No Daryl.
No
Sorry, Daryl. But the post-credit song, I did not even need Shazam for.
Yep.
Because it was Teardrop by Massive Attack, which is the theme to House.
Yes.
And I am
Makes
such
me very
a
happy.
fucking nerd.
Makes me very happy. Though I did look up Netflix because we've been doing that. And according to SoundHound, Hashtag not a sponsor. The song on Netflix was My Love's Mind by Jenny Gillespie from, like, 2010. It was slow, but nice. Like, it didn't seem jarring at all. Like, if I had just been watching, I would have been like, this fits fine.
They went with the similar vocal tone.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear because they're both like, hey, breathy and high.
Yeah.
I'm not good at doing impressions. That's just how I feel about those.
You're really not. You're really, really not. But yeah, it wasn't jarring, and so I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
It wasn't horrible.
Now that I know it's Massive Attack, I can't listen to anything else.
I will admit, did not know that song had words to it.
Mm-hmm. Because I just used the instrumental.
Yeah. I also didn't realize that it would be sung by a girl. Like, it just never even occurred to me. Because I've never heard the song other than watching House. So, there's that.
It's popped up in my Pandora feed a few times, both the instrumental and the version with vocals.
So,
and the shot during the post-credit song is, of course, comes around to several things and ends up on the house.
Well, yeah. We have the view of the bridge in the background of some buildings before we get the exterior shot of the manor that pans down through a tree to the base of the stairs and starts to go left, but stops before we get to the swan hitch.
Oh, no. Oh,
I was sad. I was really actually kind of sad about it. And then inside the kitchen, we get a panning shot where they show us some random background stuff. Like, there's a bag of White Castle coffee next to the coffee maker, which I think was just shown to show that the coffee was being made. And then some plants and some random, like, glass bottles on a windowsill. And then it lands on Phoebe, who is sitting at the island table, flipping through the Book of Shadows and drawing the sword that she saw in her premonition.
Well, actually drawing a lot of swords.
Yeah.
It shows a lot. She was trying to experiment with the design, and it shows Phoebe's actually pretty good at drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Because these look like some really nice drawings of swords.
Yeah. I want to know who actually drew those.
Yeah, because I think she was just tracing over them.
Yeah, she was just kind of adding extra bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hang on. Someone probably just, did line drawings of all these swords, and then, during the take, she's supposed to be making the lines thicker, which is why they were so thick, because it probably took that many takes.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would be a good explanation for it, too. I like that.
Sure.
I'm headcanoning that.
Headcanon accepted. I like it. So then she yawns, and it made me yawn like a dozen times while watching the scene and taking notes. And I'm yawning right now while talking about it, because that's just me.
That's how it goes.
She's wearing a red spaghetti strap top with black trim and pajama pants.
Mm-hmm.
Piper walks in wearing black jeans and a blue top. They say hi to each other, and then Piper pours herself a cup of coffee. And apparently, they were both not able to sleep very well. And Piper says she couldn't get the image of Prue getting killed out of her head. Now, she didn't see the image, so did Phoebe, describe it to them in detail? Because
I think she probably described it a little more, just so they had a better idea. But, you don't need to see the image to be told, I just saw Prue get run through with a crystal sword, and not be able to get that out of your head.
I guess. I don't know.
There's plenty of images in my head I can't get out that I never actually saw.
I guess so. I don't know. It was just a little odd to me.
It was kind of funny to me, because Piper's the one saying that, Phoebe's the one who actually had to see it.
Yeah.
And if anyone shouldn't be able to get that image out of her head, it's Phoebe's.
Yes, absolutely. Piper asks if what Phoebe is drawing is the sword, and she says yes, that she drew it from memory, but that she can't find it in the Book of Shadows yet, and wishes that the Book of Shadows had an index.
Gee, wasn't I wondering that?
Uh-huh.
Having maybe all of the Wendigo stuff next to itself. Wouldn't that make it easier to find a way to unbecome a Wendigo?
Possibly.
Gee, I wonder if the book needs an index system.
Mm-hmm. Piper wishes that she had a closer look at the killer's face, and Phoebe says that if someone tries to impale her sister, they're gonna have to get through her first.
Well, if you stand in front of her, they can just impale you both.
There you go.
Literally, go through her.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Prue walks in wearing a sleeveless, high-neck, sheer gray top over a black cami top and a black skirt.
And we're still getting visible nips.
Yeah, no bra.
Mm-hmm.
No bra. And
also, Piper and Phoebe are color coordinating their mugs. Piper's got a blue one, and Phoebe's got a red one.
They are indeed. Prue is happy that there's coffee. She pours herself a cup, and Phoebe asks why she's so dressed up, and Prue says they don't have casual day at Buckland's. Now that statement is just weird considering what she's wearing.
Technically almost nothing she's worn to Buckland's, with 2 exceptions, have been at all casual. They're not work appropriate, but they're certainly not casual.
I guess so, but I don't know.
Because there was the one hoodie situation that she ended up wearing that was pretty casual.
Yeah, a little bit.
And kind of frumpy.
Yeah. But Piper says that she promised she'd stay home, and Prue says that Claire called and has a client that could mean big bucks for Buckland. And Piper asks if Claire can't get somebody else to do it, but Prue wants to know why somebody else should get all the glory for all the hard work that she's done, which is perfectly logical.
And she's been working a really long time to get Claire to trust her with this kind of crap.
Exactly.
So, she's got to do it.
Exactly. But Phoebe has a great line of, "I'll take the nasty demon that wants you dead for 100, Bob."
Yep.
That made me laugh
because
so hard.
Prue's life is indeed in jeopardy.
Indeed.
But
then it wouldn't be Bob. It would have been Alex.
Well, fuck Alex.
Or Alec. It would have been Alec.
Well, fuck him.
So it would be Alec Trebek. Alex Trebek? Alec?
Alex.
Alec. I don't know. Whatever. It would have been not Bob.
Oh, I guess that would be Price is Right, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, Price is Right. Because that was...
Barney's dad.
Bob Barker, yeah.
Yes, Bob Barker.
Is it sad that I couldn't remember it until you said Barney's dad and then it popped into my head?
I couldn't remember it either. That was my first association.
But the point is that I couldn't remember it until you said that.
Although, I did have a couple of friends who were on Price is Right recently.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And it was great. I'll have to show you the video at the end, like when he spins the big wheel right at the end, because it's hilarious, because he does like the thanking reel, and he goes through like, parents, his boyfriend, or I think it was a couples thing, so they were both on, and his choir, he's a choir, like we're choir members, so that was really sweet, and he goes through like, Amanda, who's watching my cat, and then it just cuts out right after that.
That's funny. That's super funny.
Yes, we all enjoyed that he thanked his cat on air.
I like it.
And he was wearing a giant shirt that I had someone's face on it. I can't remember. I'll have to find it and show it to you. It's hilarious.
Okay. So, Piper can't believe that Prue would risk her life to impress her boss and says that she cannot leave the house. And Prue reminds them that Phoebe's had premonitions before and they've affected the outcome. And in her premonition, she was killed by a man, but she's going to Buckland's to meet a female client. And that Claire will be there the whole time. And she goes on that because she has forewarning, she'll be watching her back and promises she can handle it. And Piper tells her to promise to come straight home from Buckland's. And Prue's like, if that'll stop you from worrying. And they both do the little sign with their fingers to show a little bit. And makes Prue laugh a little before she walks out of the kitchen. But now, why they're freaking out about her getting killed right now annoys me a little. Because, like, remember back when Phoebe was the hotel psychic? She got a premonition of the guy getting hit by the car? And she goes to tell him, but she realizes he doesn't have his briefcase, so he was safe because he only gets hit when he has his briefcase. Why doesn't she realize that the outfit that Prue is wearing is not the one from her vision and be okay with it?
Don't know.
And in fact, if you're actually paying attention, she never wears that outfit at all during this episode.
Because what was the outfit in the vision?
The outfit that Prue was wearing in the vision was a fuzzy sweater, like a V-neck fuzzy sweater, and she does not wear that at all in this episode.
Yeah.
So, just saying.
Yeah.
But then we get our next shot, which brings our streetcar total up to 21, with the streetcar with the Canon ad on the side going through traffic. And then we get Feathers in Her Hair lady walking in front of the Buckland sign, and Brown Suit lady walking behind it. Blink and you miss her, though. It went by super quick. Inside, Prue and Claire are walking down the hallway. Claire is in a brown plaid jacket with some sort of gold brooch on the lapel, and a dark orange silk shirt and a black skirt.
It's a very 70s sort of...
It was kind of grandma
color
outfit.
scheme.
Like, it was a very, like...
It's like, we shouldn't
old
be
person
having a
outfit,
70s
like-
color-coordinated outfit until next episode.
Yeah, well, you know. But we learn that the client's family has more money than God, and if they land this account, it could put Buckland in the black for years.
Which, of course, we get this information because Claire is trying to quiz Prue on what's going on.
Yeah. They enter Claire's office, where the client is sitting at Claire's desk drinking from a teacup.
She is a petite blonde woman with like a short blonde kind of curled bob deal.
Yeah.
And like some bangs, I guess. And she's wearing, it was a white jacket?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like presidential style.
Yeah, it was a white jacket with gold buttons and a black collar, and it was buttoned all the way up.
Yes. Bit of a Mandarin collar.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But like military.
A little bit Asian
It
inspired.
looked a little military, but like the sort of suit a first lady might wear. Like, you know what I mean?
A little bit, yeah.
Mm. It was extremely prim and proper, and nothing like anything Prue ever wears to work.
Nope, not even a little. And Claire introduces her as Helena Statler and says that Prue is one of their best and brightest young specialists.
Helena responds, "That's quite the introduction." Prue says, "Yes, it is.
Maybe I should get a raise." Yeah. It's also very clear in this episode, or in this scene, that Prue isn't wearing a bra and that the room must be cold because her nipples are at attention.
Oh, yes, they are.
Like, there was no hiding them. Like, they didn't give her, like, nipple shields, nothing. There was absolute nippage happening.
And
she could, like...
That's not fixable by a continuity master.
Yeah, she could cut glass with her nipples in this episode, in this scene.
Yes, they are perfect little diamonds.
Yeah, it was crazy. So, Helena gives us some exposition that apparently she and her brother have an
extensive collection
of antiquities that occupies 3 buildings at Warehouse Flats, which I'm assuming is a building in the Warehouse District.
Yeah.
She says that they have art and artifacts from every period and movement in history, from Egyptian mummies to Jasper Johns. Now, I had to look up Jasper Johns because I wasn't familiar with his work.
Well, okay, I wasn't aware it was a person. I thought she literally meant toilets made out of jasper.
No.
Which would have been hilarious.
That would have been hilarious.
But apparently, Jasper Johns is a man and not a fascinating plumbing equipment.
Yeah, no. He was born in Georgia in 1930, and he is still alive at the young age of 86. He does encaustic paintings, which are also known as hot wax painting, which involves heating beeswax with colored pigments. His wiki page is kind of boring, but the one for encaustic painting is actually really interesting. They're both really short if you want to check them out for yourself. Not going to bother because there will be much more wiki later in this episode. I'm saving time.
Yes.
Helena says that she would want a sample appraisal, and Claire says that Prue can go today, but Prue is of course slightly concerned due to the premonition, but when Helena questions her, she says that she thinks she can handle it. We cut to Quake, where a brown suit lady is working the outside podium desk, and inside we see an employee taking inventory of the salt shakers, and Piper is wondering what kind of restaurant needs 12 potato ricers.
It's a lot of potato ricers.
It is.
You don't need to make that much potatoes. Like, 2 or 3 is plenty.
Well, the only
but clearly
thing
this was probably someone who just kept forgetting where the potato ricer was and kept ordering another one, and ordering another one, and ordering another one. Or they got the order wrong.
Yeah, they might have gotten the order wrong where they meant to say 2 and they got 12.
Or they wrote down 6 and accidentally got 9, which is still stupid. Or maybe someone mistook a 3 for an 8 at some point. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how someone sees an order for, like, a small amount of potato ricers and bumps it up.
Well, that's why I say somehow they meant to say 2 and they, like, hit the 1 and the 2 and it became 12.
This is possible.
That was my thought process. Or the other possibility is that they're cheap potato ricers and therefore they keep breaking, so they kept buying more of them so that when they would break, they'd just grab a new one.
This is true.
Yeah. But so she tells the guy holding the box of ricers to put them in the back with the lemon reamers. And he leaves.
Because apparently they also have a surplus of those.
Phoebe walks up to her, and she is now wearing a long leather coat. Couldn't tell if it was a trench coat or a duster, but it's a long leather coat. Over a crop top that fades from black to red. Which we actually find out later.
It's kind of striped.
Has, like, lines on it, yeah.
It's striped, and it reminds me of,
and there's, like red
graphics from 80s movies.
Yeah, it was such a cool top.
It was really cool.
I want that. And red pants with a black belt. Phoebe says that she called Buckland's and that Prue left the office for a meeting. And Piper is upset because she promised she would go straight home.
Which is why Phoebe's telling her about it, because that was the agreement, and Phoebe is also upset.
Phoebe says that she finally found the crystal sword in the Book of Shadows, which, of course, gets her hushed by Piper because they're standing in the middle of the room. So they walk over to the bar, and Phoebe continues and gives us some exposition that it is the symbol of the Lords of War, a clan of supernatural warriors who've been around since time began, and they want to start a war.
I doubt they've been around that long.
Well, who knows?
Death hasn't even been around that long.
No. But apparently they started most of the major wars in history, and once they're done in one place, they get reincarnated into some other part of the world and start all over again. And we learn that he is flesh and blood, but as long as he has his sword, he's not only protected, he's immune to the weapons of man.
But apparently not the weapons of woman.
I
wish more things would take advantage of that convention.
Yeah.
Because, like the speech from Jurassic Park, where he's like, God creates man, man creates dinosaur, dinosaur eats man, woman rules the world.
Yes.
I love when people take advantage of that. Or, like with Eowyn, it's like, I am no man. Which I love the fact that that is a commentary on Shakespeare, because Tolkien thought that Shakespeare wasted an opportunity in Macbeth, where he's like, no man of woman born can kill me. And the twist is, oh, he was cesarean sected, not it's a woman.
Yep.
He's like, that's a stupid twist. I'm gonna fix that.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Also, and then recreated the actual walking forest of Dunai, or whatever.
Yeah, Macbeth is not one that I know as well, but I know Hamlet better than Macbeth.
It's funny how well I know Macbeth, considering I only read it once and that was in 5th grade, and I had to do it again for senior English, and I just didn't.
Yeah. Oh, and in case there are any superstitious people out there, because we are not on a stage, we are allowed to say it.
Well, also, we're talking about the play, not the person.
Not the point.
Well, no, that's...
No, but I'm saying it's not the point. The point is that we don't have to call it the Scottish play.
Right.
Which is normally what you would say.
We're not in a theater.
Yeah, we're not in a theater.
And we're not saying stuff from the script.
Right.
Which, the thing is, like, if you're in the theater and you're doing a production of Macbeth, you're not allowed to say it. Outside of the script.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how that goes, so don't worry.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it also depends on how you grew up, because for me it was, anytime you talk about it, if you're on a stage, you're not allowed to say the name of the play.
Okay, well,
I
learned the very narrow version because it like, I was around so many theater kids and they were always really fucking worried about that.
Yeah, well, my dad's an actor, so...
Yeah, it's just the very narrow way to relieve the pressure.
Yeah. But because my dad's an actor, I wound up, most of my childhood was spent in a theater. Mm-hmm. So I was on a stage, 6 nights a week. Like, I was at the theater all the time. So we were not allowed to say the name. So it was the Scottish play.
Say my name, say my name.
Yes. Kendra.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, so while the Lords of War may be invulnerable, they do have a code of honor, and when one of them is disgraced, he has to steal his abilities back.
Including, apparently, a killer instinct.
Uh-huh.
And, as Phoebe reveals, the powers of a firstborn witch.
Because they're supposed to be the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. An employee comes up to Piper, asking where to put whatever is in the box that he's holding. And she basically tells him to go away, which it was the way that she said it was like, not now. And puts out her hand. It was super funny.
Well, knowing how inventory is at my work...
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, I spent 3 hours in one day just sitting over by the cabinets, cataloging all manner of what was in these various drawers. And there's a bunch of tiny fucking drawers over on this wall.
Mm.
Because there's, replacement case parts, replacement frogs, and stuff for bows and shit. We don't have the screws and the nuts and bolts over there. That's in a different section, so we didn't have to deal with that crap.
Well, that's good.
But still, 3 hours.
Well, see, for me, the only inventory that I've ever had to do was at the video store, and that was literally scanning.
Yeah, that's easy. We have to literally count all of the things in these drawers, write down the number in this tiny fucking grid, and then just move on to the next one.
Yeah. But inventory at our store was a couple of hours long. Mm-hmm. So...
Well, I was not the only person working that day, and it took more than 2 days.
Yeah, no, we normally would have an inventory team of at least 4 people because the store was so big, and because you had to do everything. You had to do everything in the front of the store, and then everything in the back of the store, and then all of the candies and sodas and all that stuff. And it was the candy that took the longest.
Yeah,
because you had to pull out the box that the candy was in, and then pull out each individual piece of candy, and then scan each individual piece of candy. There was no way to type in 16 of this one barcode. Yeah. You had to scan the barcode 16 times, and it was obnoxious.
Yeah. So, inventory, annoying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Understandable, but annoying.
Yes. So, she says that she'll call the night shift manager and see if he can take over for her, and that Phoebe should call Prue on her cell phone because they have to find her quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But again, she's not wearing the outfit from the premonition. She's gonna be fine.
Yep.
And then we jump to Prue arriving at Warehouse Flats. In her car. It is a big white building with a big red 4 on the door. Mm-hmm. Big number 4.
So clearly, they don't occupy building 1.
Nope. Or they occupy, 1, 2, and 4, 1, 3, and 4. We don't know. Or they.
You'd want to put them all adjacent to each other, though.
Well, but it depends. If they got 1, then somebody else took over 2, and then they were like, oh wait, we need 2 more. You know, who knows? We know not. But whatever. Doesn't really matter. So Prue has added a long dark jacket to her outfit, and she walks inside the building, and it's dark, but we can see, like, statues and stuff. And she calls out for Miss Statler a couple of times, and then Helena turns on the lights and walks out from a dark corner to say hello, and we can now see that she's wearing black pants with her outfit. Prue's phone rings, and she pulls it out of her pocket to turn it off. And Helena says that, you know, she hopes she didn't scare Prue, and Prue replies that she doesn't scare that easily. Helena asks what she thinks of the collection, and Prue says that she has exquisite taste, which, you know,
Well, I mean, it's extra funny because the statue in her house is a giant eyesore, but Helena has exquisite taste.
Yeah, exactly.
We see some more of their exquisite taste back at their house later on, and I'm just like, this is not an eyesore?
Well, you know. Helena says that she and her brother have been collecting for their entire lives, and Prue sees an item and walks over to it, and she asks if it's a Roman vessel, and Helena's like, why don't you tell me? Which makes sense, because Prue's there to give a trial appraisal.
This is true.
You know. Prue says that she's never seen one in such good condition, that the handles represent Venus, the relief details scenes of Roman baths in Caracalla, and probably dates back to 210 BC and is very rare and priceless. Now, we have an error here. Caracalla ruled from 198 to 217 AD. So there's no way that that vessel could have had a scene on it for nearly 400 years in the future.
This is true.
Just saying.
Oops.
Caracalla was the popular nickname for Marcus Aurelius Severus Antonius Augustus. Insert your Harry Potter jokes here.
I was going to insert a gladiator joke, but okay.
Well, Severus was part of his name.
Well, Marcus Aurelius.
Well, yes.
Is what I keyed into first.
Yes.
So, like, and frankly, I am entertained by that.
And see, and I cued into Severus. So there you go. He was a member of the Severan dynasty, the eldest son of Septimus Severus and Julia Domna. He reigned jointly with his father from 198 until his father's death in 211, and then he ruled jointly with his younger brother Geta before having him murdered later that year.
Of course.
Apparently they had a sour relationship.
Sour relationship, probably because they were sweetening their grapes with lead.
Possibly. We don't know how he was murdered. We just know that he was. Whatever. Even with that error, Helena seems impressed by Prue and asks Prue what she can tell her about a wooden box with curved slots that's sitting on a table.
It appears to have some, like, metal attachment.
Yeah, like
on
little
the
like
sides.
rings and stuff on the side. Prue looks at it and says that it's a pillory, and since the markings are Castilian, it dates back to the Inquisition. And then she rolls up her sleeves and puts her arms in the holes and says that it's missing a piece.
And Helena helpfully supplies that the prisoner's hands were held in place via a bolted restraint, which immediately pops out from inside the block to lock Prue's arms in there by the wrist.
Yeah, though from the shot that we get in that moment, it totally looks like she could have gotten her arms out.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Uh-huh.
And then Helena...
They always call her Helena.
Yeah, it probably is Helena. I've just known too many people, and I always say Helena.
Uh-huh.
So...
Well, it's Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
And Helena Statler.
Yeah. I will probably switch back and forth between saying Helena and Helena this entire episode, and I apologize, but there's no changing it. So, just whatever comes out of my mouth, that's what's gonna work. So, Helena then introduces Prue to her brother, Gabriel, and Gabriel walks into the room, and we see that it's Trenchcoat Dude!
Yep.
Was there ever a doubt? I mean,
no.
Seriously.
There's gotta be a better name for him than Trenchcoat Dude.
Well, now it's Gabriel.
Clear penis?
No. Because I don't think his penis is that big.
And he's got a crystal sword.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think his penis is that big.
Some guys are very sensitive about their swords. About their equipment.
Yeah. Anyway.
Now, I gotta think of a better name for him. What would be a good name for this guy? Just Lord of War?
Well, his name is Gabriel. So that's what I'm going to be calling him from now on.
That's so uninteresting.
Yeah, but that's how I do.
It's so uninteresting.
I call them by their names once I know them that.
Need a better name.
Well, you think of that. When you come up with it, you let me know.
Okay.
All right. Gabriel jokes that he'd shake her hand, but it's clearly otherwise engaged. And Prue asks what they're doing, because, you know. Helena says that they're killing a witch, and Gabriel says that Prue's ancestor's power emanated from her hands, so he assumed that her power does too.
Mm-hmm.
Prue questions them about the ancestor, and Helena replies, a witch named Brianna.
And it says it in a way like she's offended that Prue would pretend not to know.
Yeah.
Like, you clearly know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Prue then frees her hands by using her power and throws Helena into a large empty box. And in the frame by frame, it is obviously a stunt double because the hair is all wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Prue then grabs an axe from a suit of armor that is, a la convenience right next to her.
And swings the axe right into Gabriel's chest.
Yeah, as he reaches for his sword.
Yes, which does absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. It kind of, like, if you didn't know when she grabbed the sword that it was a concave blade.
Axe, not sword.
Yes.
She's not about to grab the sword. She has not known Gabriel that long. And his sister's in the room.
Anyway, if you didn't know when she grabbed the axe that it was a concave blade on the axe.
Lestatler.
Lestatler.
I don't think it's applicable, but I just thought of it, and it's funny to me.
It is quite funny. But if you didn't know that the axe was concave when she grabs it, it kind of looked like it bent when she hit him.
Whereas the idea you're supposed to get is that it sinks into him and doesn't really hurt him at all, and he just kind of pretends to pull it out.
Yeah. But, so she runs away, and he throws his sword at her, and we get a lovely POV behind the sword as it's flying through the air toward her. It's very funny. It misses and lands in a box next to the door.
Mm-hmm. And this startles Prue because she's right next to it, and you see her looking, and then the sword immediately gets pulled back.
Yeah, he reaches out his hand and it goes flying back toward him. And then she runs outside and gets in her car and drives off. But the way that she drives off, like, she didn't, like, back up and drive out. Nope, she went forward and does, like, a U-turn. Mm-hmm. Which meant that she wasn't parked as far into the parking space as she should have been.
Well, it's a tiny car.
I know
you don't need to.
But it was just an interesting thing. They come outside and watch her leave, and Helena wonders, like, how she did that. And Gabriel says that she's not like her ancestor because she channels her power through her eyes instead of her hands, and he won't make that mistake again. And she worries that because now she knows about them that they should attack her at home, but Gabriel reminds her that home is where she has the power of 3 to protect her. And he says that they'll think of another way, and then he holds her chin in that, like, weird way that isn't exactly brother-like, but it isn't completely creepy. Yeah, it was just,
it's still pretty creepy.
But it wasn't, like, creepy. It was just weird creepy.
It was on its way to being how Hannah and Rex interacted.
Yeah, a little bit. But it wasn't that, like, far.
It was creepier than with Bad Shot Billy.
Yes.
Which, granted, that wasn't exactly creepy. It was just, like, weird because he, like, you're clearly not over your wife, dude.
Fiancé.
Oh, fiancé, sorry.
Yes. So then we jump to the manor later that night via exterior shot of the house, and we get a POV from over the shoulder of the statue and see Prue on her knees next to a coffee table and Piper on a couch that we've never seen before. Like, where is this piece of furniture? Because we have literally never seen it.
They just added it to the budget, guys.
Also, in the distance shot, Piper is saying different words than she says in the close-up.
Yep.
So, little things.
It would really rock for them to have a continuity master, wouldn't it?
It really would. But then I wouldn't get to nitpick as much. So, Prue is telling Piper what happened, and Piper tells her about the immunity thing, and then says that she would have known sooner if she hadn't turned off her cell phone. But Prue says that she got away, and she's fine. And then Phoebe comes downstairs with the Book of Shadows, and this is when we can see that her shirt has the line detail that I couldn't see before. Mm-hmm. Phoebe says that she found their ancestor Brianna, who was their great-great-great-aunt, and she could move things with her mind, like Prue. Now wait a second. There is so much wrong with that statement. An aunt is not an ancestor, because to be an ancestor, you have to be descended from them. If you're an aunt, you haven't descended from them. Like, I am not my aunt's descendant. Mm-hmm. That's not how that works. And didn't Gabriel say that the ancestor moves stuff with her hands? Like, she focused through her hands? So, like, that one isn't as problematic because...
Well, no, that's
she can move
just
stuff with her mind focused
difference.
Through her hands. That one I'm okay with. But legit, if it's their aunt, that means it's not an ancestor. Mm-hmm. Just saying. Whatever. So,
she was still part of the family line, just an offshoot. Yeah, probably never went anywhere.
Your cousins aren't your siblings.
This is true.
You are not descended from your aunt.
Yes,
your cousins are descended from your aunt.
Well, you're not descended from your aunt unless there's a big scandal happening.
But then she wouldn't be your aunt.
Yes, but
just saying.
Yeah. I know, but yeah.
So Phoebe goes on to say that Brianna disgraced Gabriel during the Crimean War, which would have been...
Which went from October of 1853 to March of 1856.
It did indeed.
And, okay, I love the wiki for this, because instead of, like, aggressors and defenders, or, like, who was against who, the first group is belligerents, and the second group is commanders and leaders.
Yes.
But yes, so it involved the French Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the British Empire, Sardinia, and the Russian Empire. All of which were, at the time, empires minus Sardinia, which is an island.
Yes. And everyone allied themselves together against Russia.
Yeah.
To beat Russia.
Count Tolstoy was apparently in this.
Well then.
Yevgeny Pushkin.
Gesundheit.
Yeah. Prince Menshikov. I love all these names.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy Wikipedia, but I could totally go on, like, a Wikipedia bender.
Sir William Codrington.
Of course, because why not? Anyway, so apparently Brianna used her power to take away Gabriel's sword, and apparently now Gabriel is trying to earn his abilities back. And then we get a cute sister moment between Prue and Piper, where Prue says, "So some guy can't keep it in his sheath and now I'm marked for death?" Yep. And Piper replies, "Well, some men are very sensitive about their weapons." It made Piper smile, it made Prue smile, it made me smile. Like, It was great.
Mm-hmm. And I love when Piper accidentally says something dirty while she's just offhandedly making a comment.
Mm-hmm. It made everybody smile, and it was adorable. So, Phoebe says that the Lords of War and their weapons are supposed to be inseparable, like Thor and his hammer, but Brianna was able to send his sword hundreds of miles away. Prue says that she can move the sword, but she's not powerful enough to move it that far away. And Phoebe says that she found an incantation in the Book of Shadows to multiply her strength, and shows Prue the page that it's on. Prue thinks that sounds like a plan,
but Piper's pretty cautious about it.
Yeah, she thinks it's a bad idea. And Phoebe, of course, wants to know if she thinks it's a bad idea because she's the one that came up with it. But Piper says that, no, that there might be a power of three solution to this.
Which is a valid concern, and she says it in a few lines about, we're all in this together. Mm-hmm. Na, 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 na. Yeah. And that, they shouldn't let Prue go off and do something on her own, even though Gabriel is only after her. Like, they're a family, they need to do this as a family. Mm-hmm. But Piper gets outvoted because this entire episode is about democracy.
Yep, majority rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Prue walks up the stairs reciting the spell.
Which is, "Take my powers, blessed be, multiply their strength by 3.
Yay.
Yeah.
Piper and Phoebe continue discussing why this may or may not be a bad idea, during which point Phoebe says,
"What's the worst thing that could happen?"
And we hear a crack of lightning from upstairs.
Yeah.
Because Phoebe said the magic words.
Yep. Worst line to ever say.
Mm-hmm. Don't ever say that.
Yeah, never, ever, ever.
They hear it, they go running up the stairs, and when they get to the attic and burst through the door, suddenly Piper's hair is in a ponytail.
Yes, I saw that. But I do think it's very, very funny that as they're running up the stairs, Piper's like, "What did I tell you?" And Phoebe comes back with, "Don't be fresh to me. You better run." It was a funny moment. It was super cute. But yeah, so we cut up to the attic.
They run in and see Prue
kneeling on the floor
like she's about to pull a Hannah and do some animorphing.
Yeah, a little bit. And there's awesome orbs. CGI lights swirling around
Yeah, there's some orbs around, and the Book of Shadows is open on the floor in front of her.
Yep. And they both run in, and they each exclaim, "Oh my god," which again, every time they say it, it just makes me giggle.
Yeah, it is.
And then Prue multiplies.
2 other Prues, also kneeling on the floor, just kind of split off from her. And then the lights subside, and everything calms down.
And they stand up.
And Piper and Phoebe are both, counting the number.
Phoebe calls out to Prue, and all 3 of them reply, "What?" in this lovely echo.
And you're already seeing example of Shannon's great bodywork on this, because the Prue in the center is just normal Prue. The Prue to center Prue's left is already kind of doing a hip tilt and a bit of a slouch. Mm-hmm. And the other one has very proper posture already. So some great bodywork in here, and some great split screening. I love it!
Yes. But now here's my question. Why weren't there 3 clones?
Well, it said multiply the strength by 3. So times 1 is just Prue. Times 2 adds another. Times 3 adds a third.
I guess. But, I don't know.
That's how math works.
I guess.
As a non-mathematician, that's how math works.
I guess. We all know that math is not my strong suit, so...
No.
Not at all. But then we go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we get an exterior shot of the manor the next morning. And then Phoebe and Piper are standing in front of the upstairs bathroom door.
Banging on it.
Yep. Phoebe is in a pink tank top that has like hearts and stars and all sorts of other stuff in red on the front.
Hearts, stars, horseshoes, shamrocks, and blue moons?
No, she is not wearing Lucky Charms on her shirt.
Fuck.
Sorry.
This is not the Leprechaun episode.
No, it is
That
not.
will come in several seasons.
Sure.
Season 5.
Okay.
Trust me.
I do not remember it, but I trust you.
We'll get to it in like 2 years.
Yeah, something like that. Year and a half, maybe?
Yeah.
But no, it's hearts and stars and all sorts of other
horseshoes
stuff in red. I don't think there was any horseshoes, no. It has
clovers and blue moons. There we go.
Yes. It has white lace trim, and she has black pants on. Piper is in a bathrobe.
Kind of a dove gray.
Yeah. And she has some sort of shirt on underneath, but I couldn't really tell what it was.
And her hair's pulled up and put in a clip.
Yeah.
And Phoebe's yelling about other people have styling needs in this house.
Yeah.
Because, to show conflict between the sisters, it's always a bathroom issue.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Yeah.
anyone who has grown up with either only one bathroom or multiple siblings can tell you that the bathrooms are always the contested point.
This is true.
Yeah. So apparently all of the Prues have been hogging the bathrooms. And Piper says that she's going to have to wash her hair in the kitchen sink if she wants to get to work on time.
And she describes the other Prues. There's upstairs bathroom hogging Prue, there's downstairs bathroom hogging Prue, and there's sitting in the kitchen drinking all the coffee Prue.
Yeah.
Because they can't tell them apart.
Right. Which I really think that the sitting in the kitchen drinking all the coffee Prue is probably the real one.
Yeah.
But,
I figure it probably is.
That's just me. So, a Prue comes out of the bathroom and asks if there's a problem, and Phoebe starts to say something, but then Piper cuts her off with this little sassy line that seems to be 80 yard. Says, aside from you going off and casting a spell that's kept our bathrooms busy for the past 3 hours, nothing. And this Prue goes, don't blame me, I didn't cast the spell. Which, Phoebe gets excited because that means she's a clone. And she says that she's not exactly a clone, because since she has all of Prue's memories up until the time she cast the spell, that in a lot of ways she is Prue. Which Piper says that makes it her fault. And, this Prue's like, no, it's not, and neither is the lack of hot water. And then she walks away, and Phoebe is not happy about the lack of hot water.
Nope.
And then we get a cute sister moment where Piper says that it's ridiculous, and that it's like Parent Trap with a B cup.
And I'm thinking, no way is Prue a B cup.
No.
No, she's at least a C.
Yeah, at least.
If not more.
Yeah, at least. But I just
those
thought it was
boobs,
very funny.
it's amazing they can be contained without a bra.
Yeah.
And in fact, they kind of can't.
Yeah. But Phoebe says that she thinks she might have just found a way to take some of the Disney out of their life, which, again, it was a funny line.
Yeah, and then walks off.
Yeah. And then we cut to the foyer, where all three Prues are standing there in nearly identical outfits, complimenting each other on them.
Mm-hmm.
All three are wearing some sort of low-cut spaghetti strap black top and a black skirt.
Mm-hmm.
Left Prue has her skirt just at the knee, with a short slit on the side.
Middle Prue has a longer skirt, and her hair looks like it's completely without bangs. It's just nicely tucked behind her ears.
Yeah, and hers has a very long slit.
Yes.
Up the front. Her skirt is below the knee. And
up
then,
the front?
Yeah,
I thought it was up the side.
Well,
up
it
the
was
leg.
like up the leg.
Yeah.
But it wasn't on the side, it was up the front of the leg.
Okay. Probably just missed a line then.
Possibly.
And then the Prue to the right has kind of like texturized hair that almost looks a little shorter, and she's got way more eyeliner on, and her skirt is definitely above the knee.
It's halfway up the thigh.
Mm-hmm.
And very
and
tight.
She turns to the other two and asks, is my skirt tight enough?
And they say that it is. Yeah, which I thought was very funny. And then Phoebe and Piper come down the stairs, and Phoebe is holding 3 sweaters and asks which is the real Prue.
And they all raise their hands.
And Piper goes over, stop that. Which I thought was funny.
And finally, Prue in the middle and Prue on the right drop their hands.
Yeah, so left Prue says she's the real one.
Left Prue.
So Phoebe hands her the black sweater, and Prue asks what she's doing, and she goes, I'm color coding so we can tell you apart, which I thought was very funny.
Yes. And also very useful.
Yes. So she hands the pink sweater
to the chipper middle one.
Middle Prue.
And blue sweater to the
one on the right. So to recap.
Sultry one on the right.
Yes. So to recap, this means that Prue in the knee-length skirt is
the original.
The original. It's what we will be calling real Prue.
Mm-hmm. And then copy 1 is in pink, copy 2 is in blue.
Yeah. Pink Prue is in the long skirt, and blue
Chipper
Prue
Chipper Prue and horny Prue.
Yeah, there you go. The id and the super ego.
Mm-hmm.
Though I don't really know which is which with her. Though I'd think that the id would be Blue Prue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Pink Prue is in the long skirt, Blue Prue is in the short skirt. So there we go. Though I did think that was kind of funny, that the clones were in the long and the short, and then the real Prue was in the middle length.
Mm-hmm.
So Piper tells Phoebe that it was good thinking with the sweaters, and, that while Phoebe thanks her, she realizes it's only a temporary solution. And Piper asks about the spell, and Pink Prue says that the spell is temporary too, that they're only there as long as they're needed. Blue Prue chimes in that they're called for a reason, so once that reason's gone, the spell wears out and they disappear. Pink Prue says that they have to vanquish Gabriel.
Yep.
And Piper asks how they're planning on doing that. And they say that they think they can find Gabriel by tracking down the ownership records of the Roman vessel that, Prue got the date wrong on, in the Buckland's Antiquity database.
Because Prue knows it so well.
Uh-huh. And that Prue's assistant is already on it. Piper asks if they're sure that they have the power to vanquish him once they have his location. And Prue tells her to observe, and then all three Prues, hold hands
and look at the statue, the big old eyesore,
marble statue,
and it cleanly lifts off the ground and hovers for a little bit, and then they set it back down.
And that seems to settle the argument with a couple of pulled faces from Phoebe and Piper. And then the doorbell rings, and Pink Prue says that she'll get the doorbell.
The phone rings, and Blue Prue says she'll go get the phone, and then original Prue is just like, I should hide. Yes. Yeah. And she runs behind a wall so she can't be seen from the front door.
Yeah. Then we cut to Pink Prue opening the door to Andy, who is in a lovely shade of brown today.
Mm-hmm. Kind of a gray-y brown.
Yeah.
Like it was a little desaturated.
Yeah. And Prue tells him that his tie is nice.
I do not care for that tie.
No, but, they have a cute back and forth.
They had to have something to comment on.
Yeah. They have a cute little back and forth of small talk flirting.
Mm-hmm.
And then Andy tells this Prue that the tickets they ordered to the Bay Area Music Awards came in the mail, and he thought that she might like them, which she thinks is sweet.
And she could take someone to go with her, even if it's just an old boyfriend who really loves good music.
Yeah. She says that she'll take it under consideration, and he tells her to ponder it, which I thought was just funny. Just like, yeah, you ponder that.
Mm-hmm.
They smile, he leaves, and Pink Prue closes the door and asks, why did we break up with him?
Of course, Black Prue reminds her that he broke up with us first.
Uh-huh. Black Prue. That just sounds bad. This is why we call her Real Prue, because...
I know, but Real Prue sounds weird because, they're all Real Prue.
Original Prue.
But that's too many syllables. Prue Prime.
There you go. Prue Prime.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. So, the Blue Prue, which is a hard thing to say, let me tell you. Blue Prue slams down the phone, comes back into the other room saying, Houston, we have a problem.
She doesn't, so much slam it down as, lay the heel of the phone on the receiver and then just let it drop.
Well, it was a loud click down. But, so she says, Houston, we have a problem, and Phoebe asks if it's raging clone hormones, which I thought was hilarious.
Uh-huh. And, of course, her sweater is just kind of hanging off of one shoulder.
Yeah, and her hair makes it look like she's been up all night at a raging party.
Yeah, as does the eyeliner.
Uh-huh. And she says that the call was from Claire, and that if one of them doesn't get to the office pronto, she'll be looking for a new job. And Real Prue thinks that she can figure it out, but Piper can't believe that she's seriously thinking of leaving the house, and Phoebe agrees with her because there's no way to hide all three of them at the office. Blue Prue says that while two of them may not be able to separate Gabriel from his sword, they can certainly fight him off. And Pink Prue chimes in that two of them can go save Prue's job, and whoever's left can go to Quake with Piper.
She doesn't say Quake. She says to the Quake.
Yeah, the Quake.
It was cute.
Yeah. Piper does not seem happy about this idea.
Mm-hmm.
But Real Prue reminds her that she has an active power, and in Phoebe's premonition, she didn't get killed at Quake.
Which Phoebe, of course, chimes in, you can't be sure about that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't even be sure about what shirt she was wearing.
Yeah. But worst case scenario, Piper freezes Gabriel and runs. But Piper doesn't like this idea at all and thinks that all five of them should stick together. Phoebe agrees because the book said that it requires the strength of 3 to take on Gabriel, so it's not safe to split up.
It definitely didn't say that.
No.
It was just an account of what happened during the Crimean War.
Yeah,
That's so not what the book said.
Yeah, there's so many problems.
They're having some interpretation issues because they're not reading their scripture correctly.
Yep. Real Prue then asks who doesn't like the plan. Piper and Phoebe raised their hands.
Very emphatically.
And I kind of enjoyed that you could see that Phoebe hasn't shaved her armpits.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I'm gonna have to look at that.
You see
Yes,
what she
please
has.
go to it. Oh, cool. So either she hasn't shaved or that's razor burn.
It's not like there's a lot of hair there, but it looks like she at least hasn't shaved in a day or two, because it's starting to grow back in, and since her hair is so dark, you can see it.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was funny that they weren't like, oh my god, we have to like Photoshop that out, or, you know, reshoot it with her arm shaved completely, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. I just thought it was funny.
Well, they wouldn't have been able to Photoshop it that well. So.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. But, so, Piper and Phoebe raise their hands for who doesn't like the plan, and then Prue asks who does like the plan,
And all 3 Prues raise
Yeah.
their hands. Chipper
So-
Prue, of course, being very chipper.
so once again, majority rules.
Mm-hmm.
We then get the lovely exterior shot of Buckland's that pans to the left, and Real Prue and Pink Prue are walking down the hallway, and Real Prue is holding a magazine in front of her face, which is Living Times.
Yes, and it's a very convenient way for them not to have to split screen because you don't actually see Prue's face.
Yep.
Well, Black Prue's face. Prue Prime's face.
Yes.
Uh,
Prue Prime.
Prue Prime. Prue Prime.
Prue Prime and Blue Prue. It's a mouthful. Anyway, you try and say it.
Pink Prue.
Pink Prue is easy to say, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Prime Prue.
So, Pink Prue then forcefully
Like,
pushes...
shoves her to the side.
shoves Real Prue behind a wall and walks up to the assistant and asks if Claire is around. And the assistant is wearing a lovely purple outfit.
Mm-hmm.
This long-sleeve button-up collared shirt with a skirt that has like a subtle black and white flower pattern thing on it. It was really cute. And she says that Claire's been buzzing every 15 minutes and asks if she should get her. But Pink Prue is like, not yet. And then she asks for the information on the Roman vessel. And the assistant hands her a piece of paper and says, hot off the laser jet, which I thought was hilarious, because laser jet printers were a thing, and it makes me laugh. Pink Prue then asks the assistant to make photocopies of all of her sales files for the quarter, and the assistant says, that could take hours. And
So Pink Prue says, you're right. Why don't you get me copies of everyone's sales files for the quarter? That could take days. Well,
then
you better get...
start now. Yep. And then with a bye-bye and a shove, the assistant heads off to do the work. And then Real Prue joins Pink Prue, and they walk to their office. And when they get into the office, Real Prue wants to know why Pink Prue had to make the assistant photocopy all the files without even thanking her and being so bossy. And Pink Prue's like, that's why we're called bosses.
And did you want her to see us together?
Yeah. And then she tries to change the subject back to Gabriel, but Prue cuts her off and says that she'll talk to Claire first. And Pink Prue wants to know why she gets to talk to Claire. And Real Prue says it's because she still has to work there when all of this is over. And then Claire yells through the door for Prue, and Pink Prue pushes Real Prue behind the door. And when she answers the door with a smile and a hi, Claire, who is in a brown dress suit, says that she wants an explanation because she got a call from Helena saying that she was so offended by Prue's behavior that she's taking her collection to Christie's.
Prue, what happened?
Yeah. Pink Prue says that she's already made arrangements to make a personal apology and put Buckland's back in the running, and has convinced Miss Statler to meet at her estate. And she shows Claire the paper with the address.
Which, I don't know why Claire would believe this, because it's just a printout from the Roman vessel, and Prue wouldn't have needed Helena Statler to give her the address to do this. Like, it's literally a printout about an artifact. It's tenuous at best.
Yep, you know, like I said, there's a lot of things wrong with this episode, but it's still a fun episode.
Mm-hmm.
So Claire asks if she really thinks that she can get the account back, and Pink Prue says that she'd stake her job on it.
Claire says, good, 'cause you just did!
Yeah, she takes that stake, and says that she'll get her briefcase and they'll take her car.
And Prue goes, no! and Claire turns around and, like, starts treating her like a rowdy teenager or something, and she's like, oh, no way am I leaving you alone with this client again!
Uh-huh. And then she leaves, and Real Prue asks, like, what was that? And Pink Prue goes, Hail Mary Pass? Which I thought was funny. So Real Prue thinks for a moment and then comes up with a plan to take Claire to the wrong address and pretend they've been stood up or something, and tells Pink Prue to call Blue Prue at Quake.
Okay, so apparently Claire is gullible enough to believe that a printout about an artifact that happens to have an address on it is actual permission to go to said address. And also, she took the paper with her, so she has the address. How are they gonna convince her to go to a different address?
Yeah, you know, I don't know.
Granted, if she's with Prue in the car, Prue can probably just, like, lie about the number or whatever.
Yeah, but Who knows? I do enjoy Real Prue tells Pink Prue to do something, and Pink Prue goes, I love it when I'm so decisive.
Yes.
It was a cute line. I just enjoyed that line a lot. So Real Prue tells Pink Prue to get Blue Prue and go to the manor, and then she calls to check in with Phoebe. And Pink Prue questions how often they check in with their sisters.
And if there was a problem, don't you think they would call us and let us know?
Uh-huh.
And Prue decides to hang up the phone by saying, excuse me, Phoebe, I'll call you back. I have to go yell at myself.
Yes, it was super funny. And then Claire comes back, and this time, Real Prue pushes Pink Prue behind the door. And when Prue asks Claire if she's ready to go, Claire notices that she's changed her sweater. I think it's funny that she noticed the sweater, but not how her skirt got shorter, too.
Yeah.
But, whatever. I understand that because you see the pink before you'd, pink changing to black before you'd see the length of the skirt.
And I don't think Claire is the type of woman to scrutinize a woman's legs quite that much.
Yes, very, very true. But I enjoy that Prue's like, black's more my color. And then she grabs Claire's hand and pulls her out of frame.
Pulls her around out of frame, too. Because, Claire's head kind of gets whipped back a little bit, and then they go off.
Yeah, it was super, super funny. And then we cut to Quake with no exterior shot. The phone rings, and Piper, who is wearing her normal Quake outfit of white shirt and black pants.
White 3/4 length sleeve crew neck.
Yes. Answers it, and it's Pink Prue calling to tell her the plan. And
well, she says, it's Prue, and then Piper goes, which color? The pink one.
Yes. Piper is not very excited about these clothes.
No.
Not so much. Not at all, in fact. But Piper wonders what happens when they separate Gabriel from his sword, if he's still going to come after Prue. And Pink Prue tells her not to worry because they have a plan to destroy him. And Piper says that she doesn't want to lose Prue, that she doesn't want to lose any of them. And Pink Prue promises she won't, and they hang up. This is one of my favorite scenes of the entire episode coming up. Mm-hmm. Even with the continuity errors with Blue Prue's sweater.
Yeah.
Piper walks into the kitchen to tell Blue Prue what's going on and sees her eating spaghetti out of a bowl with her fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And there are two cooks watching her. The one on the left seems very turned on. And the one on the right looks like he doesn't know where to look. He's kind of looking at the floor or at the bowl. Like he's looking anywhere but Prue. It's very, very funny.
Yes. And Prue's dangling spaghetti over her mouth and dropping it in.
Yeah. Piper asks what she's doing. And
Prue says she's just trying today's special. And turns to the chef on the left and goes, I think it just needs a teeny bit more Parmesan.
And then she licks her fingers, and Piper says that she's sure that it's fine because today's special is actually glazed short ribs.
And then Prue turns back and says, oh, well, if anyone knows food, it's my Piper.
Uh-huh. So he can forget the Parmesan. And then,
after he's already pulled out one of those grating thingies.
Yeah, it was super cute. Yeah. And then, in a super sexual way, asks what his specialty is before Piper tells her chefs to get back to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's thrilling.
Yep. And Blue Prue has the best line of, yeah, I guess I shouldn't pet the help.
Which she actually did. She
totally did.
petted the guy's chest and then the shoulder as he was walking away.
Totally did. It was hilarious.
Oh my god. This is why I call her Horny Prue.
It was great. And that's why I say that she's the it. She is, basic needs, will do just whatever she wants to do. It's just funny. So Piper is freaking out in that adorable way that she does, and thinks that Blue Prue is nothing like the real Prue. Blue Prue says that she's the sign of Prue that doesn't get to come out and play enough. That she's the flip side of the corporate conservative clone.
Which I call the chipper clone.
Mm-hmm. And then she eats more spaghetti. And Piper tells her to get out of her kitchen before her cooks overheat, which was great.
Yes.
And as she's walking out, Blue Prue offers Piper some spaghetti.
And she's like, no, thank you. I do not want any of that.
Yep. She declines with an adorable look on her face.
No, really, don't.
Yep. It was, literally my favorite scene in the entire episode.
Yeah.
Just that scene.
It was.
I legit watched it 4 times. No shame. I love that scene so much.
Mm-hmm. And then, because we can't stay in one place too often,
we cut to the car park.
Yes. Where Pink Prue is getting out of the elevator, sees the car with Crime Prue.
And Claire driving past.
So she hides her face with, a pocketbook or something.
Yeah.
And Crime Prue, points at something so that Claire will look away.
Yeah. They notice each other, and she distracts her just long enough so that Pink Prue can leave the elevator.
So that she can go and start walking toward the car.
Right. And then a flash bomb rolls down the stairs and
So Prue,
blows
naturally, Pink Prue is naturally looking at it when it blows up and blinds her, and she kind of falls back into the car, covering her eyes, and Gabriel pops up.
Yep, and goes after her with the sword, and
See, I'd call him Sabriel, but that's an actual character from something that I enjoy.
Okay.
Because
and
saber.
I was going to say, it's not a saber, though.
Well, a saber is a type of sword.
Yeah.
I accept it as a pun.
Okay. I accept it as a pun, but it is not an accurate pun.
What pun is 100% accurate?
Just saying.
Do you remember my Glockenspiel pun? For the listeners, a Glockenspiel is when a gun does a TED Talk.
It's never not funny, that one. I enjoyed that one a lot.
I thought that up during rehearsal last week.
Very cute.
Because there was a Glockenspiel part in one of our pieces.
Nice. So yeah, Pink Prue uses her power and moves Gabriel's sword so it cuts him on his face.
Yeah, because he's like lifting it and about to like stab at her, but then she makes it move. She can't quite see what she's like trying to move, but it definitely gets him on the face and cuts him.
It nicks him on the face, which he doesn't seem to enjoy, so he stabs her.
Yes.
And we get a quick cut to Claire's car where real Prue grabs her stomach and screams in pain, scaring Claire.
Yes.
And then we cut
and I think
back.
it looked like they were stopped.
Well, they might have been
like at the entrance to the garage or something.
Yeah,
or like at a light.
Yeah.
Because they weren't moving.
No, they weren't moving, but I think they might have still been in the parking garage because I think
it's possible.
Like it didn't look like they were outside.
Well, it was tough to tell from that angle. I think it could have been that they were outside, but like tall buildings make it look a little darker. I mean, not like it really matters in the end.
No, it doesn't. So then we cut back to Pink Prue, who calls out Prue's name as she dies with the sword sticking out of her stomach.
Mm-hmm. And she's somehow now on the ground.
Yeah, and Gabriel is begging for her to give it to me.
Give it to me!
Yeah.
And then Helena pops up out of nowhere.
Wearing a red jacket and black skirt.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, where is it? Where's her soul? Where's her magic?
Yeah. And then he realizes that he's been tricked because she doesn't have any magic.
No, what he says is, I've been tricked!
Yeah.
Like, it got loud. And it was very theatrical.
Yeah, it was super drama. So he realizes he's been tricked and that this is not the real witch. And then back in the car, Claire asks if Prue is okay, and she says that she's not. And I love my note. I went, just play it off as period cramps. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then we have commercial break. And when we come back, we have a new streetcar sighting. And I give you warning now, Wiki Explosion trivia time coming.
Here we go.
Okay. So this brings our streetcar total up to 22. And this time, it's a Market Street one that goes down Van Ness Avenue.
Van Nuys?
Van Ness.
N-E-S-S?
N-E-S-S.
Okay.
Yeah. Van Ness.
Oh, I'm thinking of Van Nuys in L.A.
Yep. No worries. My mother had the same question. But it's Van Ness. So, trivia time. It used to be named Marlette Street until it was renamed in honor of the city's 7th mayor, James Van Ness, who was born in 1808 and died a couple of days after Christmas in 1872. Now, he was only mayor from 1855 to 1856. And in 1860, he moved to San Luis Obispo County to practice law, and then he became a state senator in 1871. He even has streets named after him in Santa Cruz, Los Angeles, and Fresno. In 1906...
When the earthquake happened?
Yeah. The city's fire chief, Dennis T. Sullivan, was critically injured in the earthquake and died. Since no one else had a clue what to do in an emergency like this, it was a complete clusterfuck. Originally, Van Ness Avenue was a quiet residential neighborhood full of mansions. But, in an attempt to stop the fire from spreading, it became the world's most expensive fire break. The entire street was dynamited to stop the spread of fire that resulted from the earthquake. But it didn't work because they didn't have a clue what they were doing, and the fire spread because the buildings they were trying to blow up to stop the fire blew up and caught fire. It has been estimated that 90% of the damage done to the city was from fires after the earthquake. Within 3 days, over 30 fires caused by ruptured gas mains destroyed approximately 25,000 buildings on 490 city blocks.
Oh my god.
Yeah. One of the largest fires was accidentally started in a house on Hayes Street by a woman who was making breakfast for her family, and it came to be known as the ham and eggs fire.
Oh my god.
I thought it was super funny. And in all, the fires burned for 4 days and nights. Seriously, if you have never checked out the wiki page for the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, you totally should. There are some amazing panorama shots toward the bottom of the page that were taken at the time. Oh, it's amazing. It's a fascinating read, that page. Just super, super fascinating. But anyway, back to the show. We push in on a glass door that reads Coroner's Office. To be sure.
And it's a serious push in.
Yeah. Just, to be sure that you know where we are. And Andy is there with the coroner, who says that the autopsy is scheduled for first thing tomorrow morning, but the case officer said that he might be able to ID the body now. Andy asks if it was a homicide victim and gets a big yes from the coroner because somebody ran her through with a bladed weapon. He pulls out a morgue slab that Andy isn't paying attention to and says that the body had no ID, but shows Andy the personal effects, and the personal effects include tickets to the Bay Area Music Awards.
Okay, now my question is, she doesn't have pockets. And if she was carrying a pocketbook, that would probably have car keys.
Didn't she have a pocketbook?
She had a pocketbook, but probably wouldn't have her ID in it because there would only be one. But
yeah,
it definitely would have had...
Said. She didn't have any ID.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it would have had car keys, and they would have identified the car it belonged to, and they could have run the plate. Because she was walking to the car.
She was walking to the parking garage.
She was walking in the parking garage to her car.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But, in case you cared, we see that the tickets are for row 15, seats 31 and 32, and they cost $55 each. Just, because insert shot.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he realizes that the tickets are the ones that he gave to Prue, he looks at the body, and when he realizes that it's Prue in the pink sweater, he gets all sad.
Yeah, he's really upset. And it's some great acting from T.W. King. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah, I have to admit, this episode made me like him a little better, and made me enjoy his relationship with Prue a little more.
Yeah.
Because the other Prues, not the real Prue, but Pink and Blue, seem to interact with him better. The relationship that they have, even though it isn't for very long, seems to have more chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress.
Yeah.
So, we cut to the manor with no exterior shot, and we see Phoebe practicing her martial arts on the dummy.
When the doorbell rings.
Yeah. But she is wearing a different Adidas top this time with her Adidas pants. Same Adidas pants, but this top is black with purple and white trim and has purple lines, and the Adidas logo is purple.
Okay.
The doorbell rings, and she wipes the near non-existent sweat from her head and takes off her boxing gloves before answering. And it's Andy, who has been visibly crying.
And he's, putting away a handkerchief.
Yeah. And then he walks in and apologizes, and she asks what he did, which I thought was kind of funny. And he gets all serious on her and tells her that Prue's dead, that her body was found dumped in a ravine near the Presidio. And Phoebe asks, if he's sure it was her, and he says he saw the body, and that the investigating cops found a couple of drops of blood on the path away from the ravine that would probably belong to the murderer. And Phoebe asks what color sweater she was wearing, and he thinks that she's probably going nuts, but after a couple of times of asking, and finally saying that it's important, he says that he thinks the report said it was pink. Now, he saw the body. Why wouldn't he know the sweater was pink? My only logical explanation is that it was shock. Because he wasn't looking at the sweater, he was looking at her face.
Mm-hmm. So he probably just couldn't remember and had to refer to whatever the coroner report said.
Yeah, that's the only logical explanation that I could come up with. But as we have learned, don't always try to apply logic to this show. It doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Phoebe is relieved when she finds out.
She covers her face and says, Thank
God. Yeah. And this confuses and angers Andy.
What kind of an answer is that?
Yeah. And then Piper and Blue Prue walk in down the hallway. Piper has added a gray sweater to her outfit and is telling Blue Prue that she can save any more ideas of how to rearrange her business. And then she says hi to Andy, and Blue Prue tells him he has a nice tie, which is a lovely callback to Pink Prue from earlier. And Andy starts telling Prue that he was just at the morgue when real Prue enters through the door, so Piper freezes Andy, and Phoebe's like, now's a good time that one of you should hide. Yeah.
And so Prime Prue goes and hides presumably in a living room or somewhere else. Just out of sight.
Well, not yet, though. We hold on. Half second.
Okay.
We get a little moment of stuff before that.
Yeah.
Prue asks, what's the matter and what's Andy doing there? And Phoebe tells her what happened. And Prue says, that she knew that one of them had died because she felt it happen. And Blue Prue says that she didn't feel anything, which kind of gets an interesting look from Piper. And then Real Prue says that she was in the car with Claire when she died, and it felt like she was the one dying. Piper, ever the sensible one, says one crisis at a time and tells real Prue to hide. And just as she gets into the other room, Andy unfreezes and he finishes his story about the morgue. Piper says that everybody has a twin out there somewhere.
And if Annie pulls out the excellent line that they keep reusing about needing a better explanation.
And Phoebe asks why they have to come up with a better explanation. And Andy says that he knows what he saw. And Blue Prue says, that means the world to her, that he came, but he can see that she's very much alive. And so he can't argue with that, and he heads to the door. And he stops at the door and asks if she's made up her mind about the concert. And when Blue Prue asks which one, he says the Bay Area Music Awards. And he knows something's up when she asks if the tickets that they ordered months ago finally came in. But he plays it off saying that they did, and maybe he'll bring them over sometime. And then we get an outside POV shot of him leaving and pulling at his tie.
Yes, and Suspicious Andy is suspicious.
And we see Helena watching from a car across the street as he leaves. Back inside, the girls go into the living room, and Blue Prue says they need to do something because Gabriel's going to find them and there aren't enough of them left to defeat him. And Piper asks how they know that he's still after them, and Blue Prue replies that it's because she's still there and reminds them that she's there as long as the spell is still on. Phoebe then wonders if Gabriel knows he didn't get the real Prue, and Blue Prue says that she's sure he does, and that means that they're gonna need more us's to fight him. Piper is concerned, but the real Prue assures her that she's never casting that spell again, because I won't risk any more me's, which I thought was funny. Blue Prue asks what about the plan, and real Prue says that they'll still use their powers to sneak into Gabriel's estate.
But this time, they won't be
alone when they find him. Yeah. Blue Prue says they're geniuses. And Phoebe asks what they're thinking, but she calls them you people, which is kind of funny. It's like, what are you people thinking? It made me laugh. I don't know. I'm weird. Real Prue reminds them that Gabriel is flesh and blood, and so is his sister. And the only thing that protects him and makes him invulnerable is the sword.
And he has this weird binding passion for Helena.
So Blue Prue says that if they grab Helena, that they can use her as leverage, a sword for his sister. Phoebe seems skeptical, and Blue Prue wonders if she thinks that he won't protect her. And real Prue says that he either trades his sword for her life, or they use her to buy more time until they can figure out a way to separate him from his sword. Piper says that they'll go with, but real Prue says no way, because she can't imagine anything bad happening to either of them. She reminds them of how she felt when Pink Prue got killed, and she just can't handle that kind of thing. And then we get an exterior shot of a white building, which turns out to be the Statler estate. And Gabriel and Helena are there, and they're talking about surveillance. And Helena says that she saw Blue Prue leaving the restaurant, and real Prue, Black Sweater Prue, entering the manor. She says that they're going to have to attack her at home right before dawn, when they're certain to be asleep and vulnerable. And then Gabriel moves a piece on a chessboard and says, checkmate. Yeah.
As you do.
So back at the manor, Phoebe and Piper enter Prue's room, where both Prues are there.
And apparently they've now changed into pants and are just adjusting their sweaters.
Yeah.
This is the point at which I realized they weren't wearing dresses before, they were wearing tops and skirts.
Yeah.
So I wrote, hey, pants. So I guess those were skirts.
Indeed. But yeah, it doesn't look like they've changed their shirts at all, so I don't know why they're putting their sweaters back on. Why did they have to take their sweaters off?
To change
pants?
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Phoebe has added a red hoodie to her outfit. Piper asks if they can have a word, and both Prues reply, sure. And she says that she wants to talk to the real Prue in private. And Phoebe says that it's important sister stuff. And Blue Prue says that she'll wait out in the hall. Why they think this is a smart idea, I'll never know, but whatever. Blue Prue leaves the room, closes the door behind her, and listens in at the door, because duh. Real Prue tells them not to try to talk her out of the plan, and Phoebe says, okay, forgive us for not wanting you dead. Prue says that, she appreciates it, but they'll be fine. Piper says that she doesn't know that because the warehouse was a trap, so maybe his house will be just as dangerous. But Real Prue says that it's their only option, and Piper reminds her that she's stronger in her own home.
And Phoebe chimes in with the fact that this guy is a military strategist.
Uh-huh.
So why would you think going to his house would be
Yeah, like
a better option?
He's planned everything. He studied her. Like, yeah. Piper says that because he's studied her, if he's learned anything about her, it's how protective she is, especially of her sisters. And Phoebe says she only thinks that she has the upper hand, and she needs to not think of them as sisters
to protect, but sisters who can help her defend.
Right. And we see the Blue Prue is still listening in at the door, and Real Prue realizes that they're right about it being too dangerous and they need to come up with another plan. And now we see Blue Prue outside raise an eyebrow and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the room, we hear Real Prue realizing that they are going to have to tell all of this to Blue Prue.
And did anyone take notes?
Yeah.
To which I responded, I did.
Yep, same. But Piper doesn't want to talk to that clone. And she says so twice, just to make sure that they know she's serious. So they go out into the empty hallway and realize that Blue Prue must have gone to Gabriel's estate because that's what Real Prue would have done.
Mm-hmm.
So now they have to stop her before she does something.
And cut to the Statler estate.
Mm-hmm. Where Blue Prue has apparently tied Helena into an Iron Maiden.
Uh-huh. And, okay, here's the eyesore. That statue is nothing compared to this giant fucking Iron Maiden.
Yes, well,
and
an
we
Iron
ain't
Maiden...
talking the band.
Yes. But an Iron Maiden is a torture device. It's not supposed to be pretty. So there's a difference.
It's supposed to be pretty useful.
Yes. Helena's crying out for Gabriel. He enters the room, surprised to see her tied up. And as Blue Prue comes out from behind the Iron Maiden, he pulls out his sword, and
he appears to have gained an accent.
Yeah.
His speech patterns were weird.
It was a little odd, but, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She says that this is, in military terms, called a reversal of fortune.
Mm-hmm. She says with her hands on her hips.
Uh-huh. And uses her power to close the spikes.
Just a little.
A little closer toward
and Helena whimpers.
Face. Yeah.
It's like, Gabriel, please.
Yeah. And Blue Prue says that she'll make it easy for him, his sword for his sister. And he thinks about it for a split second. It's like, done. He agrees. But then he says there's a problem in that she's not the real Prue Halliwell, because any woman smart enough to clone herself would not make the mistake of confronting him here.
Which is not entirely true.
Nope.
Because
not really.
They're the same level mentally.
Yeah.
And Prue was gonna come there.
Yep, absolutely. But he asks how many of them are there.
She doesn't answer. And he concludes she's the last one.
Yep. He tells her that if she lets Helena go, that he promises to make it quick and painless for her and the real Prue. Blue Prue then magics the spikes just a little closer and says, "Don't make me do this," which I thought was very funny, and then asks again his sword for his sister, but this time she adds a please on the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then
he throws the sword right into Helena's stomach.
She was not expecting that, and neither was Blue Prue. The sword comes flying back to him, and he asks, "Who has the reversal of fortune now?" and walks toward her.
And then the camera just cuts away.
We cut to Piper's car, where Prue is now grabbing her stomach and crying out in pain.
And now here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
How did Blue Prue get there that fast? Because, okay, she left maybe 15-20 seconds before the others came out of the room, and then was somehow at the estate with enough time to tie up Helena and wait for Gabriel while they were still in the car on the way to get her?
A la convenience.
Well, also, I'm thinking she probably took Prue's car.
Well, yeah, because now we're in Piper's car.
Well, I know we're in Piper's car.
So
Prue's car would not fit all of them.
Yeah, no.
It's definitely a two-seater.
Yeah, but the word you're looking for
it's just
is
like
a la convenience.
Yes, I know. Those are the words I am looking for.
Uh-huh.
Those are not the droids I am looking for.
No one's looking for those droids.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Prue grabs her stomach, cries out in pain, and Piper and Phoebe ask if she's okay, and Prue says, "He's killing her, and I can feel the sword." And then a moment over it's later, because Blue Prue is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And we go to commercial break.
Our final commercial break.
Indeed. So after our commercial break, we have an exterior shot of the manor that night. The girls are in the living room. Piper says they need a plan B, and Phoebe has now just remembered the blood evidence that Andy mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But Piper says that they can't assume it's Gabriel's because the book says he's invulnerable, and Phoebe reminds him that he's only invulnerable to the weapons of man,
which probably wouldn't include a crystal sword
that sucks away your soul. Yeah. Prue agrees with that, but knows that she's already proven that they can't take his sword away from him. And Phoebe wonders why they have to take it away and thinks maybe they should try and bring Gabriel and the sword
a little closer
together.
And she does this really cute, like, hand motion with her fingers pinching, and she's like,
Yeah, it was adorable. And Prue's like, you're so smart, and then gives her like a little side hug, and Phoebe gets another premonition of Gabriel throwing a flash bomb through a window and then jumping in through said window. And she tells them that Gabriel's on his way, and they all sigh and get up to leave the room, which was great. Then we jump cut to the coroner's office, no exterior shot, and Andy's there looking at Pink Prue's body on the slab and talking to the coroner about fingerprints. Apparently, Prue Halliwell's prints are an identical match to this Jane Doe,
down to the last whirl.
Which Andy states is statistically impossible because even identical twins have natural variation. So the coroner tells him to get on the horn to Ripley's Believe It or Not, because as far as forensic medicine can tell, this woman is Prue Halliwell. Andy then tells him to leave Ripley's out of the loop, along with anyone else who isn't him, and he leaves. Now, I feel bad for this coroner, because you know that there are other people that know about this body.
Yeah.
Like, the cops who found her, or whoever found her.
Yeah.
The cops that brought her to the thing, the EMTs, the paramedics. Like, there's a shit ton of people who know about this body. So how is the coroner going to explain anything?
A la convenience.
Yep. It is the theme of the show.
Indeed.
What were you laughing at?
Just that the guy who plays Gabriel is Alex MacArthur. And he hasn't been in a lot since Charmed, but one thing he was on the year before he was on Charmed was a little movie called Devil in the Flesh, featuring Rose McGowan.
Nice.
And I remember seeing this movie because I think it was on TV one day. And I love the short description for this. The tagline is, when a girl lays eyes on her teacher, sparks fly, and so do some heads.
That's cute.
Yeah, he is the teacher, I guess. But yeah, it's a fucked up movie.
Well, alright.
I love it.
Nice. We get an exterior shot of the manor, and then we see, via POV from outside the windows, Prue pacing in the wicker room. Then the lights flicker and turn off.
So she naturally whips out some sunglasses and puts them on, just in time for another flash canister to crash through the window. It flashes, she's thrown back, and then Gabriel leaps through in, like, crane pose or some shit.
Yeah, and he sees the sunglasses and calls her a clever witch. And then Prue runs into the living room, and as Gabriel follows her, we see smoke filling up the room behind him. It's very ominous. And he sees Phoebe's martial arts dummy, which Prue has put her sweater on, and he throws his sword at it, and it lights up and glitches and smokes. And then the girls come out from behind the couch. Piper freezes him and says, "Hey, check out G.I. Joe," which was hilarious.
Yep. It also shows that they have no idea what G.I. Joe looks like.
Because
he was not wearing tactical gear.
Correct.
At all.
At all. Phoebe then yells a Kia.
And drop kicks the mofo. He crashes into the shelving unit behind him up against the wall, which brings our furniture annihilation quotient to 1.
Yes.
We are going to keep tally of this, because it becomes a big thing.
It does indeed. I will let you keep tally of that one.
Okay.
So you can let me know to update.
Yeah. I will do my best.
Okay.
Although, granted, now that you know we're doing an FAQ, you're gonna remember anyway.
Well,
because that's how you do.
Yeah, I will try to. Yeah. So Piper is surprised that worked, and Prue gets the crystal sword out of the dummy and heads toward him. And, like, it's not exactly Charlie's Angels posing.
No.
But, like...
It's close.
It's kind of close. Like, where they're, Piper's behind the sofa, Prue's in front with the sword, and Phoebe's to the side, looking like she wants to kick him again. Yep. It was funny looking.
And, of course, Gabriel, from his position on the floor, holds out his hand and says, "Give me my sword."
Yeah.
Prue's like,
"My weapon."
Sure, buddy. Yeah. And holds it out to him, hilt first.
Yeah, she goes, "It's all yours," and then holds it by the blade. And then in a small moment of CGI, she uses her powers to send the sword toward him.
And flip it around.
Spins.
And impales that mofo.
Impales him in the stomach. He screams. The sword glows, and he turns into a weird CGI puddle thing.
Yes, and you see his face appear on the pommel. And then he gets
sucked into the sword, and then he and the sword explode into light and disappear. And then the lights flicker and turn back on. And Piper says, "Peace at last."
And then the doorbell rings.
But not before Prue says that it's too bad Phoebe didn't knock him into the statue.
And then the doorbell rings. And they all wonder, who could that be? And Prue says, his army? And before they completely freak out, she's like, no,
Kidding, yeah. Prue answers the door to Andy.
And she says, Andy, what the fuck are you doing here? It's 4 in the morning. As evidenced by the fact that they are all wide awake and all the lights are on.
Uh-huh. But he says that it isn't a social call, and she needs to come with him to the city morgue.
Right now!
Yeah. She glances at her sisters, grabs her jacket, and leaves with him. We cut to the coroner's office. They walk in. Prue wants to know what this is all about because he hasn't said a word since they got in the car. And he says he'll show her, and he pulls up the slab behind him, not looking at it.
He opens the cubicle door, or whatever it's called. And
the morgue door, the slab door.
Yeah, he opens the container? I don't know. He opens the cubicle door. I'm going to say cubicle because fuck it.
Sure.
And pulls out the tray and points at it. He's not looking at it at this point, and Prue walks over, smiling a little bit, and pulls it out further, and we see that all that's left on this slab is a skirt, presumably underwear, a tank top, and the pink sweater.
Yep.
And she's not...
like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, what the fuck is this, Andy?
And he says that there was a body on the slab that was identical right down to the fingerprints to her. And she's like, I don't know what to say. And he says that ever since she came back into his life, it's been one weird coincidence after another, and she doesn't know what to say.
Mm-hmm. She's good at playing dumb here.
Uh-huh. And she asks him to just tell her what he wants to hear. And she's like, I'm sorry, but there's nothing but clothes on the slab, so why don't you just take me home? She walks out, and he slams the slab back into the wall, and then we cut to the next scene. But I feel bad for the coroner, because he's got to explain where that body went.
Yep.
Like, I know Andy told him not to mention the body to anybody, but there are other people that know about it. So, like, he's not getting paid enough for that. Like...
No, and he's pretty close to retirement.
Yeah, he's kind of an older dude. Yeah.
Although that's probably the kind of job where you don't necessarily need to retire. It's not super strenuous, unless you have an earthquake.
Yeah. So, we cut to Quake the next morning with a quick outside establishing shot.
Very quick.
Very quick. But we see brown suit lady setting up the podium desk. Feathers in her hair lady is walking out with a guy. And tan jacket floral skirt lady is coming up from the left.
See, I was looking for them and I didn't see them.
Yeah, it's on screen for like less than 3 seconds. It is a very, very quick establishing shot. But we get 3 of them. Like, we get the 3 we've been paying attention to the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy it. So, inside Quake, Phoebe is sitting at a table wearing a cream-colored shirt with a ruffled collar and has ruffles on the wrist. But it looked like part of the ruffle was missing from
probably just tucked in or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. It's a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Prue comes up. She's wearing a black spaghetti strap top, not the same one she was wearing the night before.
No. Well, it's not even spaghetti strap. It's like angel hair strap. Yeah. It's not quite a vermicelli. We'll leave that to Phoebe.
Yeah.
But this is definitely like an angel hair strap, and it's cut straight across the boobs.
Yeah.
Zero support. It's probably one of those like bra clasps in the back.
Yeah. Probably, but we don't see her back. And she has jeans, and she's holding a gift basket and her tan jacket. Phoebe is reading from the newspaper. She reads, curiously, the only item found by the slain body of Helena Statler was a blue sweater. And Prue says that it's a shame because she kind of liked that sweater.
But they would have found the other clothing items.
Exactly.
Including underwear.
Yeah.
If she'd been wearing any. Which, that one I don't think would have.
Yeah, that one I don't know. But I wrote in my notes, it's like, why was there only a sweater found? Because the slab had the top and the skirt, so what happened to blue?
There would have been the top and the pants.
Yeah, but like, you know...
I know. Also, all of those would have had epithelial cells on them.
Well...
Including Prue at the morgue.
Yeah.
But this isn't CSI. We can't get into that kind of detail.
I don't know. Whatever. My point is...
Although, actually, I could see a magic finagle out of that. Of the epithelial cells. Because, like, the entire body has to disappear, including all the evidence of the body.
Yes. I just wonder what happened to the rest of the outfit, you know?
It probably disappeared into the ether.
Yeah.
As things so often love to do on this show.
Uh-huh. Piper then comes up wearing a black sleeveless top. We don't see her lower half, so I don't know what she was wearing with it. I'm assuming black pants.
Mm-hmm.
Because, 90% of the time. And she's holding a tray of drinks. Phoebe asks Prue what...
Or this might be that outfit she was wearing during 113, where it was the black sleeveless top and the skirt that got ripped. Might have been more like that outfit.
Maybe. I don't know. We didn't see the bottom.
Because Piper, unlike Prue, is good at wearing work-appropriate stuff.
Yes, she is. So Phoebe asks about the gift basket, and Prue says that it's a thank you for her assistant because she earned it. And I saw that there was at least Ferrero Rocher and a box of turtles in the basket,
Oh my God.
so you know it's good.
Reasonably priced crap candy.
Yeah, like you know it's good because there was a lot more stuff in that basket. Like
I don't know if I would call Ferrero Rocher good.
I like it.
I mean, it's cheap enough.
Yeah, I like
that
it.
you can ignore the fact that it's cheap.
Yeah, I guess. So Piper hands out drinks to her sisters, counting the tumblers, and that ends
Quake's yearly inventory.
Uh-huh. Do you know how hard it was for me to spell the word tumbler properly in my notes?
I know, right?
I literally spelled it without the E like 4 times and had to go back and correct. Like,
you didn't need to, though.
No, I know, but like...
Because we know what you mean.
I know.
And it's pronounced the same.
I know. But I legit was like, Tumblr has ruined me.
Yeah, it's ruined all of us.
It is bad. It is bad.
In one way or another, it's ruined us.
Uh-huh. Anyway, so she says, that ends the yearly inventory, and Phoebe is excited for the end of crowded bathrooms, no hot water, and 3 Prues hogging all the good clothes. To which Prue replies that one day she might actually hear what she sounds like when she says stuff like that.
To which Phoebe responds, yes, and I will find myself sassy and delightful.
Which is great. Prue says, I wouldn't count on it, and Phoebe laughs, and it was great. It was just, it was a cute sister moment that was adorable. Prue then gives a toast to me, myself, and I, and
also
to you
guys.
Yeah. And she thanks them for all the help because she couldn't have done it without them. And then Phoebe adds a toast to herself for kicking some serious demon butt. And then Prue, weird that Piper doesn't decide to, have any say in this toast. Prue comes back and finishes out the toast with, to clones who vanished without a trace. Which was cute.
Yes.
Piper then wonders if Andy will ever figure it out, and Prue says that while she doesn't know, she wouldn't underestimate him. And after what happened this morning, they're going to have to be extra careful.
Which naturally leads to us cutting to the police station, where Andy pulls out a hefty file from his drawer.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting, because we jump cut to Andy's desk at the police station. We have no exterior shot, and we see his badge and gun on the desk, along with a piece of paper with fingerprints on it. He then thunks down a folder that says, confidential, Halliwell, Prue. And the word confidential is in lowercase.
Yeah.
But her name is in all uppercase.
Yeah, that's weird.
It was a little odd. But even more so odd is this is written on the outside flap. He opens the flap, and there's a couple of newspaper clippings and pages and whatever that are just underneath the flap. Not inside the folder.
He probably hadn't had time to sort them.
Yeah, well, that's what he's doing now, apparently.
Yep.
The first one we see is about the auction house that says, auction house mystery remains unsolved. Imposter heirs suspected of grand larceny and murder. Ooh. He puts that into the folder, and then he goes through and finds an article
about black magic and witchcraft.
In all caps. Yeah.
And it's it's a photocopy of something that was clearly originally in color.
Yeah, it was very dark. He puts that away. You're ready for this lovely continuity error craziness. He picks up the Bay Area Music Awards tickets and her fingerprints chart. And on the fingerprints chart, it has her date of birth as 2/16/72, when she's supposed to have been born 10/28/70.
2/16/72. Is that Shannon's birthday? No, I don't think it is.
No, I don't think so. I didn't look that up. But I did look up to make sure of Piper and Phoebe's dates, but Piper was born in 73 and Phoebe was born in 75, so that doesn't count. It doesn't even work at all. You looking up Shannon's?
Yeah. April 12th, 1971.
So there you go.
Which means she was my fake internet birthday, not Holly.
There you go. So it doesn't even work with Shannon's birthday.
Strange.
I took a picture of it, but I don't know how well you can actually read it. It'll still be up on the site because I'm me and I put things there. But yeah. So then he adds all of these papers into the file, puts the file in his drawer, and then sits back in his chair and starts rocking a little. And then we fade to black and go to the end credits.
And now it's time for our ratings.
It is indeed. Who's going first, you or me?
You.
All right. I'm giving tonight's episode an 8 out of 10 underpaid coroners. Seriously, how is he going to explain where that body went?
He's not.
I feel bad.
It just disappears into the continuity of the episode.
Uh-huh.
And I am giving it 8.5 out of 10 pommel faces.
Nice.
Because
Good.
that was a very subtle bit of computer editing right there.
Yeah.
Like, you almost might not catch it
Mhm.
if you're not really paying attention.
Yeah. Well, and like when Gabriel does the explodey thing
Mhm.
and the sword and he both burst into light, his face bursts into light. It's like the last thing.
great.
It's great. It was lovely. Lovely bit of CGI that.
Mhm.
On to outfits.
Yes. I'm not sure I really have a favorite in this episode, mainly because, like, all the Prues were the same thing, and, like, Piper in the bathroom was really cute. So I guess if I had a favorite outfit, it'd be that, out of all of them. I really liked Prime Prue's tank top over the other two, because it had the lace detailing on the edge.
Yeah. I liked the green dress that Prue was wearing in the first scene. And I was liking Piper's red outfit from the first scene.
True.
And as for Phoebe, it was the red and black gradient crop top.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, I like that for Phoebe as well.
There weren't a lot of outfit changes in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very outfit light episode. But that's us done for another week.
Mm-hmm.
Time for the social stuff.
Yes. We are at Charm Chats on
Facebook,
Snapchat, Instagram, Pinterest.
Yep, Patreon.
Yes. And if we're not at Charm Chats, we're at Charm Chats Pod, but that's mainly just our Tumblr and Twitter.
Yep. And you can email us at charmchats@gmail.com.
Indeed.
And you can find all the pictures and stuff at
and the
charmchats.com.
and the full episodes there.
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find, if you're listening to this on iTunes, which shows up randomly throughout the week on iTunes, whenever I remember to put it up on iTunes. If you want to listen to it when it first comes out, it goes up on charmchats.com at 9 a.m. Central Time on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you can get it right away. And it's even better quality on the website.
Yes, it is.
Just saying. That's it.
Yeah.
We're done for another week.
Mm-hmm. So good night. Don't let the warlocks bite.
Bye.
Or the warlords, as the case may be.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Blue, you gonna say bye-bye?
Luke, can you say bye? No.
No.
He's tired.
Mm-hmm. He wants to go outside. The ears are up. Okay, bye, guys.
Phoebe, Piper, and Prue, we've got evil to say and some potions to brew. So we'll see where it's at next week with Kendra and Kat on Charm Chats.
A la convenience.